Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me for this wind down from work yoga practice. So let's get started. So we're just going to start seated on our mats in whatever position you're used to or most comfortable with. I'm just going to go for an easy cross-leg pose, one leg in front of the other. At this point it doesn't matter which one is in front, just go with whatever is most comfortable for you. So we're going to begin now with some angel arm poses. We're going to try and connect our breaths to each movement for this. So if I just show you one, so it's palms facing up, raise your arms up above your head, hands together as if in prayer, and then turning facing the palms down to the floor. And we're just going to do that 10 times. So with the inhalation, I want that to be connected with going up, and exhalation, I want that connected with going down. So this is just a good intro move just to start off our practice, just to calm ourselves down after our busy work day, regulate our breath and just prepare our body for our practice today. So we're going to go for 10 of those. So remembering, inhaling, arms come up, hands together, exhaling, arms come down. And we can do that 10 times all together. Inhale, arms come up, palms together, palms facing down to the mat. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, palms come down. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Let's do 5 more of those. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. And feel free to close your eyes when you're doing this. It does help some people, but some people prefer to just keep them open, so whatever you feel like doing. Inhale comes up, exhale comes down. And 2 more, inhale comes up, exhale down. And then 1 more, nice big stretch at the top there, and exhale brings you down. It's actually a little bit harder than it looks. You can really feel that already warming us up here. Okay, so now I want you to take your right hand and place it on your left knee, and then your left hand's just going to go behind you on the mat, and you can either turn just to the side, or if you feel like you're able to, turn it all the way to look over your shoulder, just feeling that nice twist in the torso there. And then you're just going to unravel and then swap sides. So opposite hand, opposite knee. Hand goes behind, and then just looking through the back shoulder. And then just gently unraveling, and then just doing it 1 more on each side. So right to left and left behind. Looking through that shoulder. And then unraveling. And then on the other side. And then just slowly coming back to seated. So now we're just going to do just a little forward fold here, just keeping our legs as they were. Just going to walk your hands. Now for some of you it will look like this, for some of you might be really feeling flexible and going straight flat to the floor. So wherever you find yourself, it's just the motion of trying, as long as you're flexing from the hips, putting no strain on that lower back, but just flexing right from the hip joints. And just taking a nice inhale, and then exhaling, walking your hands out and folding to wherever is most comfortable for you. And then just walking those hands back towards the body, and then placing your hands behind you, and then just opening up the heart, lifting that gaze, and then coming back to seated. Wonderful. So now we're just going to come onto all fours. We're just going to do some cats and cows. I always like to throw these in because they're so good for mobilising the back and warming you up for practice. Really good for the lower back also. Okay, so hands nice and wide, starfish on the mat, knees hip width apart, backs of the feet flat on the mat. And then you're just going to inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze. And then exhale, pushes the mat away from you, rounds the shoulders and the spine. And then straight back into your cow. And then exhale takes you into your cat. We'll do 1 more here. Inhale, gaze up, belly down. And then last cat. push the mat away from you. And then just come into neutral tabletop. Now I'm going to ask you to just widen your knees as wide as the mat, if that is possible for you. If not, just as wide as is comfortable. And then try and join those big toes together, just so you've got a bit of a diamond going on. And then from here, keeping that grip nice and wide, just going to rock backwards and forwards. Again, as low or as not low as you can go. Just keeping it nice and comfortable. So for some of you, it might just be some gentle rocking, backwards and forwards. For some of you, it may be all the way down and then back up again. And if you want to go side to side, backwards and forwards, just have a little play around here. It's a good way of finding out where in your body needs attention. So if it feels good to just stretch, it might be really good for the hips. Just moving around, just keeping mobile, keeping those toes joined if possible. And just have a little play around just to see what feels good. And just enjoying that. Okay, and then just keeping the toes of the yard, just pushing back into child's pose. Forehead down to the mat. And just take a nice breath here. In through the nose, out through the nose. Now we're going to ask you to do a little bit of threading. It's just a nice one for the shoulders. So just bringing that right arm under the left arm. And then just putting your face cheek to the floor. And then gently coming up and swapping over to the other side. And we're going to do that once more on each side after this. And just coming back. And then last one. And then just coming up into tabletop. Now I'm going to ask you to bring your hands a little bit further up to the top of your mat, and then we're going to come up into a plank. So we're going to keep this nice and strong here. If you would prefer the modified version, then just drop your knees and just keep the backs of your feet on the mat. That's absolutely fine also. If you're feeling a little bit stronger today, just lift yourself up into plank. The weight all through that palms of your hands you can feel. Okay, and just hold that for as long as you can, or if you want to alternate between modified and plank, like a breath in each if you want to do that, and that's absolutely fine. I'll do that with you. Okay, and then whether you're in modified or full, I'll do modified with you. Just come in really slowly, keeping those elbows as close to the body as is comfortable, and then coming down onto your tummy on the mat. Okay? So now we're going to do some cobras, just a little bit of back strengthening for us here. Okay, so what you're going to do is make sure you're going to gently lift off of the mat. Try not to strain the neck too much. You're just looking to the floor, away from your mat, just a little way. Try not to look up, because that's a mistake that people make. We don't want to damage any muscles in your neck. So just going to ask you to just lift up ever so slightly, but keeping those hip bones flat on the mat, legs, front of the legs flat on the mat, and the tops of your feet on the mat. So all that should be on the floor is the upper part of your body. Now if you can, we're going to hover the hands and then lower. And we're going to do 3 more of those. So forehead to mat, and then lifting up and just hovering those hands. Remember to breathe in through the nose and then out through the mouth for this, brings you down to the mat. And in through the nose. And then out through the mouth to lower. And then in through the nose. And then out through the mouth to lower. And now we're going to come back up into plank. So whether it's modified or full. And we're just going to push up and back into downward facing dog. And then just going to paddle out those legs. So whatever you feel like doing here. You could be rocking, just paddling, or just staying still. So whatever feels most comfortable. And then after that, we're just going to come back into our plank. So whether we're here or here, I'm just going to ask you to step your right leg through to the top of the mat. Now, if you do need to guide that leg, that's absolutely fine. And also here, I'm going to ask you, if you feel a little wobbly or not so confident yet, you can lower the back leg for this. I will show you both. So first of all, so what we're going to do, you're going to have your right foot at the top of your mat. Your left hand is going to be next to your right foot. So if you're in the fall, I'm going to ask you to just lift the right fingertips to the sky. So we're all in dragonfly together. But for some of you, you may want the back leg down, and that's absolutely fine too. So wherever you find yourself, just making sure you're pushing back, opening up the heart and the shoulders, and you're gazing up to your hand. Okay, and then you're just going to lower back down. And then you're just going to push back to straighten that front leg. So the leg that is at the top of the mat, just straightening that out and keeping those toes active, so facing towards the ceiling just to protect your knee joint. Now your hands can be wherever your body needs it, so for balance mostly, so they could be here, they could be here, or they could be up on fingertips. If you do have lower back trouble, it might be better to be up here, but depending on balance, I've got a wall behind me, so that might be a good idea. So you can hold your lower back, or for some of you, it may be here. All we're looking for is a nice stretch in that thigh and the shin. And then just coming back, so either in the modified or lifting the back leg, and then stepping back into plank, just staying there for a moment. And then again, if I do it for modified this time, so if you are in modified plank, just guiding that opposite leg up to the top of the mat. So keeping that back leg down, and then going into dragonfly with your left hand and gaze to the sky, or your back leg lifted up. So wherever you're coming from, just making sure you're pushing back and not caving forward, because that's not going to be very good for you in the long run. You need to be pushing outwards as much as possible, exaggerating that leaning back without falling over, and just gazing up to where your fingers are. And then nice, slowly and safely coming back, dropping that back knee if you were in fall, and then just pushing back onto the back leg, feeling that lovely stretch, keeping those toes active. And again, wherever you find yourself, so you could be here, or you could be here. So wherever you find yourself, just elongating that front leg and just enjoy the stretch here. Just enjoy here, just do 2 breaths here, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then just gently coming out of that. Just getting to the top of your mat and then safely coming out. So we're just going to come back down to our mats here. Okay, so sitting however is comfortable for you. I'm just going to put my opposite leg in front now just to balance things out. So this is a wind down from work. So a lot of complaints that you get from people at work all day is them sitting at a desk, looking at a computer, neck, shoulder strain. We carry a lot of tension on our neck and shoulders, I know that I do. So we're just going to spend some time here, just a little bit, just to loosen the muscles in our neck and our shoulders. So let's start just by rolling side to side, ear to shoulder, and just doing this nice and slowly. There's no rush for this. And just one side to the other. If you want to add on to that, you could do a full circle. So go to the front and then to the other side. And then really slowly and gently back, but not pushing too far. And then round to the other side. And then just going back the other way. And just coming back to the middle. And then just shrugging your shoulders. So shoulders to ears, and then just letting them go. Just do 5 of those. And just letting them go again. That feels really nice. So just shrug. And then go. Shrug. And then one more, shrug and go. Now we're just going to take our right hand and just place it just between our shoulder blades. And then our left hand can either grasp each other or just reach for each other. So it'll be different for everybody. So wherever you find yourself, just as long as you've got this nice pull here, just give that a nice stretch. And just in through the nose, out through the mouth. You need to aim for 3 breaths here. And then just gently release. And then just give a little spaghetti arm here. Maybe just across your body just a few times. And then doing the other side. So bringing the left hand up and the right behind, in between the shoulder blades, just reaching for or grasping. And again, in through the nose, out through the mouth 3 times here. Remembering to keep that nice straight spine alignment. And then just coming out. And again, just alternating with arms on top, just giving the nice arm here. And there we go. Okay, so hopefully feeling a little bit more looser now. So we are very gently going to come to standing. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do now is we're going to go into a forward fold. So we'll start with a half fold here. So for some of you it might be that you need to have your hands on your hips. For some it will be hands on the shin, some the thigh. So you just got to imagine that you've got some drinks and you're balancing them on your back. So that will help you to grasp where you need to have your hands. Just enjoying that lovely stretch in the backs of the thighs here, making sure all the corners of your feet are flat on the mat. And then from here we're just going to gently walk our hands down to our feet. Now if you can, I'm going to ask you to stand on the palms of your hands. Some of you may not be able to do this or might not like the thought of doing this. So if that's the case, then just gently take just above your ankle, not on the actual ankle bone, but just above, and just enjoying that stretch here. If you are going to come into the palm stand with me, it may be easier if you're not used to it just to keep your knees really deeply bent. If you're a little bit more flexible, then just straightening those legs and pulling away as if you're trying to get your hands out from under your feet. Now this is really nice for relaxation. It's pressing all those pressure points in the hands, so our hands do a lot for us. And it's quite a nice relaxing pose also. So let's just stay here for 3 breaths wherever we are. In through the nose and out through the mouth. 2 more good breaths here. And then after your last breath, just taking your hands out. Nice bend in those knees just to safely get you out of that pose and just walking up to standing. Okay, so now we're going to meet side on our mat. So I'm going to ask you to take your feet as wide as is comfortable on the mat with our toes facing outwards, but not so much that you're going to feel all wobbly. So just facing outwards, but still with good control over your balance. And we're going to take our hands to our hips and then we're going to gently fold down towards the mat. So then we're going to place our right hand on the mat and then our right knee we're going to deeply bend. Okay, and then we're going to take our left hand up to the ceiling. Just opening up the heart, the chest, the shoulders, keeping those fingers really wide on the mat. Nice deep bend in that right knee. Just helps you to get deeper bend into that hip. If you're feeling a little bit wibbly wobbly here, then you can keep your gaze down where your hand is. And then we're going to really gently swap over. So left hand's going to come down to the mat, left knee, nice deep bend. Our right hand's going to come up to the ceiling. And we're going to safely come out of that. Straightening both legs, both hands on the floor. And then if you're feeling flexible and want to give it a try, we're going to grasp both our hands behind our back, so this but behind our backs. And then we're just going to deepen that fold. This is a really deep stretch for the shoulders. If you feel like you don't feel confident enough to do that, just keep your hands on your mat and then have a little bit of a bend in both knees, which will help you get really deep into that stretch. If you're with me on the clasping and stretch, just put it right up to the sky, as high as possible. And again, bend both knees this time and see how low you can get your head towards the mat. Okay, so wherever you are, just really safely put your hands to the mat, push yourself up a little bit, straighten those legs, and then hands to hips, just to get you safely out of the pose. And then we meet standing on the mat. Okay, so now I'm just going to ask you to turn to face the top of your mat again. Okay, and now I'm going to ask you to just part your feet ever so slightly, so turning those toes out, edge of each side of the mat, and then just really, really slowly and gently crouching down as far as you can go. Now again, this will look different for everyone, okay? Some of you may be able to just go straight down. For some of you, it may be that you get so far and you feel like you can't go any further. That's absolutely fine. The trying is just as important as the doing, okay? But the aim really is to eventually get to the mat and then come into seated, okay? It's just an extra little stretch there, made it harder for you to come down to the mat. Okay, so now we're just going to come onto our backs and you're just going to hug in both knees to your chest for wind pose. Now for some of you may prefer to stay still, others may want to massage out the lower back. Okay, as long as your lower back is flat on the mat, that is safe to do so. Okay, so just giving a little roll out, just like that. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you to hug your left knee into your chest and then just elongate the right leg. Not quite touching the floor though, there's a little twist coming now. So not quite touching the floor. And then I'm going to ask you to swap. So we're going to do 5 on each side from now, okay? So left in, right down. Okay, right in, left down. So inhaling as you tuck in the leg, exhaling as you let the other leg go. So for everyone, the speeds will be different. Okay, if you're feeling extra fit today, you can go a little bit faster, but taking it slow and steady is always good. And I'll definitely lose count here. But do what you think is around 10, or pause if you want a bit longer and you want to take it slower, you might want to do more. You can just pause the video and then continue when you've done what you're happy with. Okay. It's quite a good strengthener for the hips, lower back, your thighs. And then just hugging both in again, full wind. And then just dropping both feet to the mat. So now we're going to do what we call a figure 4 pose. You're just going to take your right ankle, place it just above your left knee. And then just to deepen this a little bit, we're just going to thread our hands through and take hold of our left knee. And just pulling that into yourself as comfortable as far as you can, as far as you want. And then just feeling that nice tug in the right buttocks, the hip, the thigh. And then just letting that go, and then just swapping over the other side. So left ankle just above the right knee, and then threading those hands through and just feeling that nice pull in your lower back, your buttocks, your thigh. Now from figure 4, we're going to double that and go to a figure 8. So we're just going to butterfly legs, or open book, frog legs, however you know them. For me, I'll be butterfly. Okay, so it's keeping the soles of the feet together. If it's a little uncomfortable or you're not feeling as flexible today, then just have a bigger gap between your ankles and your body. For this, you can use a block. You might need 2, or a cushion, just each side, just so that you're not just letting your knees float if you're not very used to the pose. If you are feeling more flexible,
then just bringing those ankles in a little bit closer. And now to finish our 8, we're going to put our hands together above our heads. So you can either clasp fingers or just hands together in prayer. I'm just going to invite you to take 10 breaths here. Now they could be in through the nose and out through the nose, or in through the nose and out through the mouth. So whatever you feel your body needs today. So just enjoying those breaths here. Or you can do 5 of each. With each breath, you can just feel your thighs gravitating lower and lower to the mat. And then when you think you've done your breaths, you can either stay here for longer, so pause the video, or if you are done, then you just need to take your hands and just safely pull your knees in so your feet are flat on the mat. So now I'm just going to ask you, so your hands can just go on the mat next to you, is just let your knees drop from one side to the other, nice, slowly and controlled. And just do that a few times on each side. Nice and slowly. If that is a little bit too much, then you can just keep one leg up and just let one knee drop, and then the other knee comes up and just let the other one drop, if you're not feeling as flexible. So wherever you're at, that's absolutely fine. It's whatever works for you. Let's do one more on each side. And just coming up. And then just elongating the body to a full morning stretch. And then you can just wriggle out those toes, fingers, circle the ankles and the wrists, just bringing life back into everything. And then just really carefully getting yourself up into seated position. So just lie on your side just for a breath or two, because you don't want to rush getting into a seated position after reclining for so long. And then when you're ready, just using that top hand to push you up into a nice seated pose. Okay, so I'm just going to ask you to bring your hands to heart centre. Thank you for joining me in this practice today. I hope you have benefited in some way from this, and feel free to share. So, nose to fingertips, namaste. Thank you.